If your shoulders aren't growing, the problem usually isn't effort, it's structure. Most people train their shoulders with random movements they saw online, throw in a few presses, maybe some raises, and hope for the best. But shoulder development doesn't work like that. The deltoid isn't a single uniform muscle. It's a system made up of 3 distinct heads that all need targeted stimulus: the front, side, and rear delts. On top of that, your shoulders are supported by smaller stabilizers like the rotator cuff and upper traps, which determine how healthy, stable, and strong your shoulder joint actually is. So if you're only training 1 or 2 of these areas, you're not just limiting growth, you're creating imbalance. Let's fix that properly. 1. Overhead press, the foundation builder. If you had to pick just one shoulder exercise for overall development, this would be it. The overhead press, whether performed with a barbell or dumbbells, is the primary compound movement for building mass and strength in the shoulders. It heavily targets the front delts, recruits the side delts, and also engages the triceps and upper chest as supporting muscles. But its real value goes beyond muscle activation. The overhead press teaches your body to generate force vertically. That matters because shoulder size isn't just about isolation, it's about how much load your body can control and stabilize overhead. Every strong set builds structural density in the shoulder girdle, reinforcing tendons, ligaments, and joint stability. There's also a visual payoff. Over time, consistent overhead pressing contributes to that capped shoulder look, where the delts round out and sit prominently over the upper arm, creating a broader frame. Common mistakes: leaning too far back and turning it into an inclined press. Flaring elbows excessively, stressing the shoulder joint. Using a partial range of motion instead of full lockout control. Ego lifting weight that sacrifices form. Execution focus: keep your core tight, glutes engaged. And ribs down. Press in a straight line, not forward. Control the lowering phase just as much as the press itself. If your shoulders are your priority, this movement should be a staple at least once per week. 2. Lateral raises furfum. If overhead press builds the foundation, lateral raises build the illusion of width. This movement isolates the lateral deltoid, the middle head of the shoulder, responsible for how wide your upper body appears from the front and back. This is the muscle that creates that broad-shouldered aesthetic that most people are chasing. The problem is that most people butcher this exercise. They turn it into a momentum-driven swing, using traps and lower back to lift the weight instead of the delts. That might let you move heavier dumbbells, but it completely removes tension from the target muscle. The real key is control. You want constant tension through the entire range of motion. Execution cues: slight bend in the elbows, pull through. Raise the dumbbells out and slightly forward, not straight behind you. Stop around shoulder height, don't go higher. Lower slowly, resisting gravity instead of dropping the weight. A slow tempo is everything here. A 2-3 second lift and a 3-4 second eccentric phase will do far more for growth than rushing through heavy reps. Advanced tip: try cable lateral raises instead of dumbbells occasionally. Cables keep constant tension on the delt, especially at the bottom of the movement where dumbbells are usually easiest. If you want visible shoulder width, this exercise is non-negotiable. 3. Rear delt flies for balance and show. Rear delts are the most neglected part of shoulder training, and also the reason most people's shoulders look incomplete. If your front and side delts are developed, but your rear delts are undertrained, your shoulders will look flat from the side and slightly hunched forward from a posture perspective. Rear delt flies fix that. They target the posterior deltoid, which is responsible for pulling the shoulders back and creating that full 3D shoulder appearance. They also indirectly strengthen upper back muscles like the rhomboids and lower traps. But the benefits go beyond aesthetics. Strong rear delts improve posture, reduce shoulder impingement risk, and balance out all the pressing volume most lifters accumulate from bench press and overhead press variations. Common mistakes: turning it into a rowing motion instead of a fly, using too much weight in swinging, not controlling the eccentric phase, shrugging traps instead of isolating rear delts. Proper execution: keep your chest slightly angled forward, spine neutral, and arms moving in a wide arc. Think about pulling your arms outward rather than backward. The movement should feel like squeezing something between your shoulder blades. You can perform this with dumbbells, cables, or a reverse pec deck machine. The key isn't the equipment, it's precision. 4. Arnold press for full activation. The Arnold press is often misunderstood as just a cooler shoulder press variation, but it actually serves a specific purpose: full deltoid activation through multiple angles. By rotating the dumbbells during the press, you increase engagement of the front delts at the bottom and the lateral delts at the top. This creates a more complete contraction pattern compared to a standard overhead press. It also improves shoulder mobility and coordination, especially for lifters who struggle with stiffness in pressing movements. Why it works: the rotational component forces your deltoids to stabilize through a longer range of motion. That means more time under tension and more muscle fibers recruited per rep. Execution breakdown: start with dumbbells in front of your chest, palms facing you. As you press upward, rotate your palms outward. At the top, palms face forward like a standard press. Reverse the motion on the way down. Important note: this is not a replacement for heavy overhead pressing. It's a supplementary movement designed for hypertrophy and muscle activation, not maximal strength. Think of it as a finisher or accessory press that enhances overall shoulder development. 5. Face pulls for health and longevity. If there's one exercise most lifters should never skip, it's this one. Face pulls are the ultimate shoulder health movement. They target the rear delts, upper traps, and rotator cuff muscles, all of which are essential for keeping your shoulders stable and injury-free. In modern training, where pressing volume is high and posture is often forward-rounded from sitting, face pulls act as corrective work. They don't just build muscle, they restore balance. Why they matter: strengthen the external rotators of the shoulder, improve scapular control and positioning, reduce the risk of impingement and chronic shoulder pain, balance out heavy pressing movements. Execution cues: use a rope attachment on a cable machine. Pull toward your face, not your chest. Keep elbows high and flared outward. Squeeze shoulder blades together at the end of the movement. Control the return slowly. The key here is not weight, it's activation. Light to moderate resistance performed with perfect form will outperform heavy, sloppy reps every time. Putting it all together, the real key to growth. Now that you understand each movement, the most important part is how they work together. Shoulder growth isn't about randomly doing exercises, it's about hitting all three heads of the deltoid plus the stabilizers in a structured way. A complete shoulder training structure looks like this: heavy compound press, overhead press, or Arnold press. Isolation with movement, lateral raising. Rear delt focus, delt flied. Health and stability work. That combination ensures strength from pressing, width from the lateral delts, shape and posture from rear delts, longevity from rotator cuff and upper back work. Programming tips: what most people miss. To actually grow, execution alone isn't enough, you need structure. Training frequency: 2 times per week is ideal for most people. Volume: pressing, 6-10 total working sets per week. Lateral delts: 8-14 sets per week, they can handle more volume. Rear delts: 6-12 sets per week. Progression: increase reps before increasing weight. Focus on controlled tempo instead of ego loading. Track performance week to week. Tempo. Recommendation: presses, controlled but powerful. Raises and flies, slow and deliberate. Final trick: big shoulders don't come from random workouts. They come from structure, balance, and discipline. Most people fail because they overtrain the front delts, undertrain the side and rear delts, and completely ignore shoulder health. But when you train all 4 components, front, side, rear, and stability, you don't just build bigger shoulders, you build complete shoulders. The kind that look strong from every angle, perform under load, and stay pain-free for years. That's the difference between training for appearance and training for development. And that's what actually makes shoulders grow.